Hey folks, this is Karen Trepty of KT Finances. Just wanted to hop on here today and say happy Saturday and just talk with all of you a little bit more about the steps to creating wealth. First of all, let's talk a bit more about goals and the hype around goals. This time of year in January, there are people creating all kinds of goals. That is wonderful. I'm not against goals. What I am saying is that you don't need to be overwhelmed. There's no way that we can go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds unless you're in a very high-speed sports car. So not recommended for general life. So what can you do instead? You can certainly create a goal and say that you want to be wealthier. You can certainly create a goal and say that you want to have more money. Specificity, being specific is always ideal. And the best thing to do is simply to get into action. And that means taking baby steps. Really small, concrete steps towards what you want to accomplish. So, if what you want to accomplish is wealth, then the first thing you need to do is you need to decide for what. Why do you want to be wealthy? I talked last time about frugality with enjoyment, and I am so about that balance. To me, creating wealth is not about being miserly. It's not about having to give up all kinds of things. The first step to creating wealth is actually knowledge. So here are 2 tips that will help you gain that knowledge. First, you want to figure out thanks so much for popping on. You want to figure out why you are creating wealth and what you are creating wealth for. Because, for example, one of my biggest values is peace. My peace means as much as possible to me. Sure, there's times when I have to do things that might not be my favorite, but still my overall goal is peace for myself because life is short. So I promised you 2 actionable steps. The first thing is to figure out what you want to save money for. So perhaps create some very small goal to begin with. Maybe you have a credit card that you ran up over Christmas time and you want to pay it off. That would be a good one. You can take one with a low balance. You don't have to take one with an extremely high balance. And go ahead and just figure out a baby step to be able to pay that off. So, what does that take to do that? Well, you need knowledge. So you need knowledge, number 1, of what you want the wealth for, and number 2, you need knowledge of where's your money going now? Do you know? Do you have that knowledge? It's incredibly powerful, and it's not meant to be judgmental. It's meant to help you. It's meant to help you maximize what you really want. I mean, this is a ridiculous example that just floated in my mind, but I'm going to share it anyway. Maybe you're spending too much money on laundry detergent, and you don't want to do that. I'm sure you'll find categories where you are spending money. Maybe your phone bill's so high. Maybe with a phone call to your phone call provider, maybe you can find a better deal, and all of a sudden you've freed up $50 or $75 a month. You could use that to invest because, after all, you're already spending that money, and then bingo, you have that money to invest. So here's the second tip, which I have talked about a lot, but it will give you the knowledge. It's an app called You Need a Budget. Okay, I grew up in the 60s. I'm full of rebellion, as my kids will attest to. And yet, this structure which you control, you set up which categories you want your money to go to. I mean, some of our living expenses, everything's a choice in my book, but some of our expenses are definitely more fixed than others. Usually for people, it's housing and food and their children and clothes and school supplies and so on for their children. But you get to decide. And with a lot of these applications, believe me, being so interested in finance, I have tried a lot of them. And this is just my all-time favorite. And I will leave a link in the comments below to give you 34 free days to try it out yourself. But most of the applications for figuring out your finances have you project, thanks so much for that thumbs up, I appreciate that a lot, have you project what you make and then how that's going to go in the future. There's a huge caveat with that. The huge caveat is that sometimes the future doesn't go exactly like we planned, right? They say something to the effect of that's God's best joke or something like that to tell him our plans, because it's true. Life often changes. So the beauty of You Need a Budget is that you start, it's a whole different paradigm, which just means model, a way of thinking. You start with the dollars that you have, like right now, we're in the beginning of January. What do you need those dollars to do for you? Do you need them to help pay your rent or your mortgage or your phone bill or your utilities? Then you better put them, at least some of those dollars, in that bucket so that you make sure you have the peace that I'm talking about, to know that your basic expenses are covered. And then you set up these other categories, and it's super simple, guys. You know that I'm pretty good with tech, but I'm definitely not a tech queen, okay? That's a challenging area for me. And it's, even for me, I can do it. And not only that, they have tutorials on there. They will teach you about budgeting. They will teach you so much. So I highly recommend that. Just take that first little baby step towards wealth and get knowledge about where is your money going right now. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen at KT Finances. I actually market for over 100 of the top national finance firms. It's weekend, so I'm not coming on with any work clothes or work makeup today, but just to share with you some ideas to give you, a step forward in achieving your goals. So I look forward to chatting with you next time. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, ciao for now.